Okay, now I can make it full screen up here. All right, let's see if that works. See if anybody shows up. What time is it? 1. It's a little early.
Did you have this stuff here, this whatever?
No, we finish it up. I took a little chicken out and put it in that miso soup that I had. All right, let me just think what we are talking about here today. Where are all my papers here? Pen. Now, I have to accept people when they come in, right?
I don't know that. You your laundry went to stop.
Yeah, I put it up there.
I didn't know it was going in the dryer or what, so I just left it. I knew I would have stuck it in the dryer. Just wasn't sure.
And that's a really brief description. That's all they want. And they want to know how much money and whether it comes under open space, historic preservation, community housing, or recreation. And so we put it under recreation. And that's it.
Great.
Yep. And at the meeting, people seemed, they liked the idea, I think, generally. Becky had a lot of concerns.
Mhm.
And I think she works at town hall all the time, and she would, I think she thinks maybe some of the burden of this would fall on her.
Nope. These are her concerns. I met her behind town hall yesterday afternoon and walked the property with her. And is everybody pretty familiar with the grounds behind town hall?
Yes.
Okay, so we walked it, and the front part of the grassy area she wants preserved, because who knows how long we're going to have to do outdoor meetings, and she wants to keep that as a viable place for people to be. So we're talking about let's see, we have 20 acres there, but about quite a bit of it is forested. So we're talking about the southeast corner. The southeast corner is a large area, about the size of a football field almost, I would say. It's flat, and it used to have blueberries there. Probably has poison ivy, but we talked about having it plowed up, cultivated, and then we'd put the fence in and put in soil, bring in soil, and have people working it. Her concern is having a road going back to it. There is no clear way to have a road going back to that, because if you remember, the southeast corner comes up the drive, the drive that's on the police car side. So it has the police vehicles, it has the electrical, whatever, that little hub for the broadband hub, little shelter. It has the propane tank, and it has the septic. Going
Couldn't it be on the other side? Why couldn't a road be on the other side?
now, because the other side, if you go up along the other side, you hit the well. And you would have to go over the well. And because that's right on the corner. So there really isn't a way to put a road in. And so I tried to alleviate her concern by saying that we could purchase maybe 1 or 2 garden carts that would be back at the spot, and people would we would make a path back there, not a road, but a path that people could walk the path with the garden carts.
Mhm.
Her other concern
Was
was,
that okay with her when you said that?
yeah, she was all right with that. She didn't think that people would want to do it, but she was all right with that. Her other concern was the water issue. And Michael Broad, Rita's husband, said that he would be willing to help with construction of a rain barrel type of collection that would be runoff from the solar panels.
But then Rita also just sent me pictures of the collection, water collection they have in Pelham,
Mhm.
which are really big. They're big rectangles that collect a lot of water when it rains.
Yep.
And they just have spigots at the bottom.
Yep.
In some ways, that might be better because you could put it back nearer the gardens.
Mhm.
We
know,
could do both.
You could do both. I love the idea of collecting water off the solar panels. I think that's really
Me
cool.
too, but that would mean that people would have to use the garden cart to go and get it. But that's,
Yeah, I've been listening and looking for the map on Google Earth of the Northampton Gardens. Many of them, they're nowhere near close to the road. So I don't think not having a road go back is a major consideration. I mean, it's quite big. I've been up there, people park along, I guess it's Prince Street, but then it extends back quite a way. So I don't see that as a major issue.
No.
no,
We should probably find out what they do with people who have a distance to go.
Well, you know what they have there? Because my daughter lives right near
Oh,
there.
yeah.
They have garden carts that they have a padlock, like a coil that has a padlock on it,
Mhm.
and they padlock them to a structure so that if you have a garden, you get the combination, and then you put use a garden cart to go back and forth. And I think we
Perfect.
could do that,
Perfect.
but I
Mhm.
do think you have to lock them up.
Mhm.
In some
okay, so her other concerns, one of them was animals coming into the garden. And I said, I have a garden. You fence it, you figure out how to fence it, and we're going to put up regular fencing. And then what we do is we have between the top of the fence post and up to about 10 feet, we have this deer netting that we put up. It's
Mhm.
fine. I mean, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Her next issue was with concern that who's going to want a garden in Shutesbury. She doesn't think that it's something that people want. I told her we already had 12 people who
She
were,
heard what we said at the meeting. We told her that.
yeah. She figures that anybody who wants a garden in Shutesbury, it's not like we're in the middle of a city that people are in housing that doesn't have garden capability. And I said, I think we do have people.
Right. There's also a community aspect to it. I think that
Mhm.
people are drawn to it, to being together with other gardeners and
Right. And actually, I got an email from Grace yesterday, speaking of Grace, that she finally put our survey up on the town website.
oh,
So maybe we'll get
I
some
saw
more,
it today.
maybe we'll get some more
Yeah.
answers. What else was Becky? There were three other things. Oh, one of them is, and this is down the road, that the folks in Pelham realized after the fact that they needed to create a revolving fund for monies to be used. And, I said that we probably could use the recreation revolving fund, but possibly not. But that's, that's in the creation forum. We can do that.
To use what? I'm confused. What would that be used for?
For the whatever the fees that we collect from people and the maintenance fees that are going to go into it, any kind of fees in order to roll over year to year. You have to have a revolving fund because otherwise anything that is in that account gets put back into free cash at the end of the year every year. If it's not a revolving, meaning it rolls over to the next year. And not a big deal. Not a big deal. Another one of her major issues is parking. She's very concerned about parking. And I said, right now we're talking about 12 people, and I doubt that all 12 will come at the same time. And she's worried that, 12 cars coming on a busy summer night, that she has meetings at town hall, there isn't enough parking, blah, blah, blah. And I said, we have to park across the street. So what, it's not a big deal. I don't think parking is an issue.
Yeah. She worried about the parking lot because she brought that up in the select board meeting.
She's worried about the parking lot. The parking lot needs to be redone because it's a mud pile all the time. Anyway, that's not our problem. I think that's something that
capital planning should do.
Yes, capital planning needs to do it. We have talked about it before. I remember when I was on select board, that was one of the projects, was the back of town hall. But
Lane, how come you never got that done? Jeez, come on.
We got the school done. We got the.
I know, I'm just giving you.
It was in the process. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know. And then her final issue was, what are we going to do if somebody wants to grow marijuana?
You can grow marijuana now. You can grow 4 plants.
But not where it's public access. So all we'd have to do is put in the bylaws or the rules that no marijuana.
Right. I know what
she just truthfully, she just doesn't see the need for it. She doesn't have any energy for it. She doesn't think
it doesn't have any energy for it. It's not going to be her problem.
What I said. And she said, what are people going to use for a bathroom? And I said, they're going to go into town hall like they always do. I really turned her off because I said, hey, it's the woods. They'll go out in the woods. And she freaked out and said, well, you might do that on your property, but you don't do that on public property. It's like, okay.
Well, you know what? She can't stop this from going forward because she has no voice in that. It's not her.
And I tried to assuage her fears about who's going to control it. Oh my gosh, I'm watching. It's starting to snow here. Who's going to control it? And
yeah, well, that leads me to another point I wanted to talk about. Okay. Is that Rita? Well, she brought to me because we went for a walk. 3 different towns, rules and regulations around community gardens.
Oh, great.
So that I can send those on to you. It's Pelham, Lowell, and New Bedford or something. Mm-hmm. And, they have long, many pages of rules. And I think one of our things we could do this winter is come up with what are our rules and regulations to make people like Becky feel better about,
and we have to have a managing board.
Yes, that would be one of the things that we would do. And people would have to, if they have a garden, they'd have to volunteer in some way to help the gardens run. I would, have different ways people could get. But I think that's why people might want to do it, is that they want to be with other people and be involved. So
it's like a co-op, I mean, that's just how it's going to run.
Right.
And she said, well, would you want to have a plot there? I said, why would I want to have a plot there? I have an enormous garden myself. And she said, well, see, that's why I don't think anybody wants them.
Did you say 15 people responded?
Yeah, I kept trying to tell her that, but
Yeah. Well, it's funny because she is a big advocate of the farmers market in Shutesbury.
Mhm.
So how do you think those vegetables grew? Somebody had to put seeds in the ground and
I don't know. I think, you know what, when I said we thought this was the best place for it, and if she said, well, that was going to be the place for the library at one point in time. And I said, yeah, but the Massachusetts Board of Libraries nixed that proposal because it didn't have visibility from the road. And that's one of their criteria, is that you have to be able to see the library from the road. So that is not property that can be used for a library. And if she's going to read, if we're going to tear down the town hall and redo it into a totally beautiful, magnificent building, well, there's plenty of room. There is plenty
Right.
of room between the two. And she wanted us to put it on lot 032, but then I said, that's not appropriate right now, because way in the back, we've walked it. It's a cranberry bog in the back, and you don't want to disturb that. And, if that lot eventually might have a library, it might have senior housing, there's a lot of things that lot can have. You don't want it behind the fire station, because if you're talking parking issues, my God, you have much more parking issues behind the fire station.
right.
And the water was contaminated for a while there, and I'm sure people would be concerned about that. And then you don't want it by the school, because you have to be worried about access during school hours. So this is the best place.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the select board, they all seem very supportive of this, and they're the ones who have to vote on it, not Becky.
No, nope, nope. It is not up to the select board. It's town.
Oh, I thought they had to approve it though. Don't they don't they have to,
The
I mean,
Community Preservation Committee has to approve it.
and then doesn't the select board have to give an okay to it?
If they don't give an okay, it can still go forward.
Oh, but they could be supportive. They could vote to support it.
Yes, it would be a recommendation that either they supported it or didn't support it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to get them to support it. I feel like that would
I
be,
think that's not a problem. It's Rita and April and Melissa, so,
yeah, I think they're gonna be behind it.
yep.
But
And
we
the
may have to
only-
go back and try to have another, we have to go back, and if we get the money from the CPC, we have to go back to them and just say, we got the money, we want to move forward on this. Right?
No, nope, we don't have to say anything. Once the money comes through town meeting in May, it's
Oh,
done.
but we have to write some kind of article for town meeting, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, no, the Community Preservation Committee does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all we have to do is, we have to, by Friday, we have to submit this form, which is just the determination of eligibility. And then by February something or other, I'll get the date exactly, we have to fill out the complete application and submit it to them. And then we have to go in front of the CPC and discuss it with them. And it has to be an open hearing that other people can come and discuss it. And then the CPC votes on it, and they send it forward as a warrant article.
Hmm. So you're thinking that's in February?
Let me look. Let me make sure.
Because we should be working towards that, I guess, right? Isn't that something else?
Right. And let's see. There's only one more. Okay, so February 4th is our CPC meeting, so it has to be before that it happens.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
so
like this.
I'll check on that, but there's only one other one that's a determination of eligibility that's been submitted so far, and that's for $1,000 to create maps and distribute and to plot out and create maps of the rec area
For mountain biking.
south of Lake Wyola, not for mountain biking necessarily.
Oh, I
It's
thought
for
that's what
anything.
Rita told me it was mountain biking, but
It's not necessarily mountain biking.
Oh.
It's for everything.
great, like what our committee was gonna do before the, let them do it. That's awesome.
Let's see. I'm looking for it right now. Rita sent it to me. Let's see. We propose creating and publishing a trail map and usage plan for the Southbrook Conservation Area. The town-owned area comprises 49 acres of forested property located due south of Lake Wyola Public Boat Launch. Several trails run through the property, but no trail map exists. A trail map would make this lovely area more accessible to town residents. Highlighting the trails to be used and clearly showing the best use for each trail. And that's it. It doesn't have, it isn't necessarily all biking, mountain biking.
Okay.
Where are these trails?
They're just south of the boat launch area at Lake Wyola off of Randall Road.
Okay.
So it goes from there, from Randall Road up to, where are the houses that come in?
Yeah, we were gonna have a hike there. Remember Peter May was gonna take us on that hike?
Yeah,
Huckle May? And then
yeah.
we had a big snowstorm.
Yeah.
BZ, I did have a long conversation with the woman who founded and is the chair of the Pelham Gardens
Oh, good.
that I had the conversation the day after we last met at the end of October, but luckily I took notes. Do you guys want to hear
Yeah.
sort of briefly what she said? Okay, I'm going to go into my notes. So her name is Sid Ryman. She'd be happy to talk to any of us again. It was a very informative conversation. This is their garden's 5th year. She said at the start, she spoke with a woman at the South Hadley Community Garden who told her it won't gel until the 5th year, and that proved exactly true.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she said though that it sounds like it gelled, like it's going better than ever before, but still she was kind of disappointed. She's put in a ton into this. Like us, she has her own garden. She didn't do it for herself, but she took out a plot the first year just to make it more people because there was so little interest. She said she's had to do everything. There haven't been enough committee members and there hasn't been a lot of involvement and support. She personally uses this huge mower that she borrows from the town to mow. She calls the fire department to come and fill up their water tanks. She was saying water was a big issue and it was like for them. So it was like really great if we could have a water supply like the way we're going to.
Mm-hmm.
She said they had asked for $20 per person. And if people put their gardens to bed at the end of the season, they had been giving back $10 of that 20. They were going to stop doing that. Putting their gardens to bed meant like using cardboard or mulch, to avoid it going to weed and that kind of thing, particularly because somebody else might take that plot the next year if that person didn't. But the treasurer, the town treasurer said it was just too much work. So they were going to let go of that, giving back the $10.
How many people do they have?
Yeah, I'm looking through my notes. So I
sorry.
know that key. I think they had, the way I remember it is that, yeah, she said they struggled to have 3 to 4 plots gardened the first year. So she did it to make it look like there was more activity. And this past year, they were finally up to 10. So what else did she say? Yeah, they tried a number of times to dig a well. They couldn't turn up anything. So they just couldn't have a well there. So that was like kind of their biggest challenge. They had no work commitment. And when I raised it, she thought that was a really good idea.
Mhm.
She said that they have a treasurer and a secretary and two other members of the committee. So it's like a committee of 5, 2 other members who did a pollinator garden because that was a personal interest of theirs. And when I raised the idea of, having everybody who gardens have a work commitment, she said that was a really good idea because the biggest disappointment to her was the lack of sort of, like she, like us, I think, partly wanted this to build community, but it didn't build community. People would go and they do their own plot. And even if they would hold events, like she said, I don't know, some kind of like tastings or like a cider and donut day or different things, people wouldn't show up for it.
Mm.
So she thought having like some work commitment, like a couple of hours that people had to work for the garden as a whole, that might be like a really good idea to build
Mhm.
community involvement in it.
One like a co-op kind of, you have a
Exactly.
so maybe if we called it something like the Shutesbury Community Co-op Gardens or.
Yeah, I think, yeah, something like that. She just mentioned all the meetings have to be open and announced per town rules. I think ours would be the same.
Yep.
Let me just see if there was anything else. People don't turn out for a thing. Yeah, they tried seed sharing. People were kind of insular, just gardening their own plots. Some people bring children. They have a no dogs policy because the presence of dogs can be contentious. So they just said no dogs.
Good idea.
I guess they didn't have fencing at first, but after 4 years, deer found out that they were gardening there. So then they installed fencing. They finance like the way that we are hoping to. Oh yeah, this was a key thing, although you guys may already know this. She said original costs are considered infrastructure, and additional infrastructure like the fencing is considered an improvement, but maintenance cannot be paid for with this kind of funding.
Mhm.
The kind we're applying for. So she said, for example, the first year they got 1 year's haul of wood chips. The second year, they didn't have the money for that and that's maintenance. So they couldn't use funds for that. She recommends getting like a couple of years of wood chips, that like, just for example, if you can think ahead a bit, she was saying anything that sort of that constitutes infrastructure, you can use that money for, or improvement, like material improvements to infrastructure, but not just maintenance. So that is about it. And yeah, if we had any other questions for her, she loved to talk about it. She's kind of done it all herself.
Wow, that's really good information.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah, that's good. Did they have a set of rules and regulations that people signed, like a contract and?
Yeah, I think so. But I didn't ask her what it was, except, yeah, she just told me about.
Oh, yeah, I have them right here. They're one of the 3 that I have.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah, okay. Rita was suggesting, and I think this is a good idea, is for people, maybe we do this as part of the infrastructure, is to have the garden plots be raised beds with metal siding, not wood, because the wood breaks down pretty quickly. Pressure treated is treated with chemicals, so it wouldn't work, but that you can get metal siding now that you can use as, anyway, just a thought.
There's also some really good, I've got some, it's plastic and they're made out of recycled milk bottles, but there are also other varieties. My bet is though that the metal would be less expensive than those, but they just don't ever break down. They don't leach anything into the soil.
Yeah, great. And where'd you get those, Barbara?
I probably got them through Lowe's. It's been a few years, but I most likely ordered them through Lowe's. I'll look them up.
Okay.
I don't see where, I'm looking through the community preservation plan right now, and I don't see where you couldn't use it. Because there's actually a maintenance component to our application, and it says, if ongoing maintenance is required, who will be responsible for it? How will it be funded? I don't know if we could put maintenance in there. I would test that, because Rita is really very up on community preservation information. And so I would test the waters by putting maintenance in there, and, like wood chips each year, and maybe, a truckload of manure each year, composted manure each year, et cetera, to see if they pass that through, and that way that would be part of our revolving fund. So we would put it in the revolving fund, maybe $5,000 for, the next 3 or 4 years, and then see how that goes. And while we're accruing monies from everybody's fees. So I would put that in there, and, if they say, no, you can't do it, we can't do it.
Yeah, right. We'd use the money for something else.
Yeah.
So I have some prices from the Amherst Farmer Supply, and then the one in Greenfield. And basically, the one in Deerfield, there's a T-post. It's $4.99 a piece. She said they were the strongest when you use clips or zip ties. Then there's, and that's got a T on the top. Then there's like,
Is it made out of wood or metal?
these are all made out of metal.
Mhm.
That the next one is a U shape, and it's like a medium grade, and that's $7.99 a post. You have to have clips to build in on the post. They have clips that are built in. I'm sorry, on the post, and then the lightest duty is half the width, and that one's $5.99 a piece. The deer netting, which is made out of plastic, which is a light mesh, they have 7 foot by 100. That's $20.99. That only lasts for 1 full season. You need to replace it.
That's
Made
not
out of
true.
the wire. Sorry.
I said, that's not true. I've used mine for 5 years now. The same stuff. You have to roll it up and put it away.
Yes. And then the other deer fence is what she called it, is 7.5 by 100. That's $98.99, and that's a heavy duty permanent wire. And then there's a light duty fence, which is stronger, and it's made out of mesh. She said that's 7 by 100 feet, and that's $69.99. That'll last approximately 2 seasons.
Can you
So
send us all these in a email, Christine? All the
Yes.
prices, and then we could look at it, because I can't take numbers in an auditory way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like,
And then I got the numbers from the Amherst Farmer
Okay.
Supply.
okay. So if you can just send out sort of a breakdown of those materials and the costs, because I think our goal would be maybe the next time we meet in December, I think we could meet one more time in December, would be to try to, break down the costs that, what's this, I mean, we have to do that for the application, right, Elaine?
Yes.
Yeah. So more specifically, what our costs are for doing this.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I like the idea of putting $5,000 aside for a revolving fund. I think that's smart. And since we just asked for $5,000 more,
Yep.
Than we did a week ago, I think that's a good use of that money, actually.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
Okay. So is there anything else today we need to go over, or should we figure out what do we need to do in our next meeting, and people could, just offer to work on something to get our application done.
I think one of the, I think we all need to take on tasks.
Yeah.
Christine, you seem to have taken on the cost task, and that would be great if you could just write that up and send that out. I think
Barbara, you had some too costs that you come up with too, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I sent out that information via an email. And so basically, it's just a matter of all of us deciding how large we want it to be, the outside dimensions, because once
Right.
that's determined, the one thing I don't know is how far apart posts go. But then we can figure out exactly what the cost will be once we've decided what the materials will be and what the outside dimensions are.
I think if possible, at least two of us going, making a plan to go to the site and measure it out and see what you guys all think. And we can determine, I mean, we can't have a meeting out there because we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to meet in person. But we should be able to, at least two of us go and map out the site and have, maybe take photos and send it to everybody else. And then we can determine, like the actual number that we're going to start with. I mean, we don't have to develop the entire thing at once. As a matter of fact, we might want to have it all cultivated and leave maybe half of it in a cover crop that would help nurture the soil. So we'd want to know how big it was and everything, and really map out all of that, and even think about, other costs. Everybody should come up with costs for December as to what we're imagining, like whether it's the garden carts or the creation of the rain barrel. The other thing, that Becky said was, what about composting? And I said, I know somebody near and dear to Beezy who has created a bear-proof composting container, and I bet you they might help us with that.
I was thinking, Christine, why don't you talk to the woman in Pelham about the cost of those the rain collection things that they have there? Could you find out from her?
I don't understand what you mean, because she said they had no water there other than getting the fire department to come and fill up.
Yeah, well, they have huge containers there.
Right.
Yeah, so those
But-
look like they cost money though, to the infrastructure of them.
But do you think that they could actually get filled with water from
Yeah.
just rain instead of just being the fire department?
In a drought, no, they would not be full, but.
Well, she said every year that's one of her many jobs, that she has to get the fire department to come. She has to keep track of when they're going down and get the fire department to come and refill them. She didn't say anything about water collection from rain.
Well, Rita took a good picture of them. I'll send it to you all. I'll send you the photos. So you can see what I'm talking about. Elaine, I'll go walk the lot with you.
Okay.
Are there other things, because if we're going to be talking about about costs, so you mentioned the 2 carts, the rain barrels, the fencing, wood chips, the raised beds. I can get costs on that. I would love to throw in a picnic table. They had one at the Pelham Gardens and it just looked so welcoming. This picnic table sitting there, a place for people to sit and chat and talk.
I think that's great. Yeah, so
Whatever we're going to need, and I'm not the right person to know this in terms of what kind of dirt, composted manure, whatever that we would need to order.
We're also going to need the initial cultivation, and I'm wondering if Steve and Tim from the highway department would be willing to chip in.
I think Steve would. He's quite a landscaper at heart.
Yeah, and they might, we could pull in a favor from them and they would come and dig it up for us.
Yeah. Do you want to ask them what it would cost, Elaine, since you're,
Sure.
just ask Tim or see?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think maybe if by the next meeting, we could gather all our costs together.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't have to have everything because once we get the grant, if we get it, they're not going to be standing over our shoulder for everything that we
Well,
buy. But
I will say that we've had trouble, and I've been on the Community Preservation Committee for a number of years, and we've had trouble with people asking for money and then not completing the project and not doing it. And
right.
we have to keep the money that they ask for in holding for them, and there really is no mechanism for recouping money.
Mhm.
And we've had 3 projects now that I can think of that we're working on now with saying, come on, guys, you have to do something with this money, or we're going to try to take it back from you. And so over the past year, we've become very strict on making sure that people are doing what they're saying, that they have their timeline, and that we're actually going to sign a contractual agreement that people will be held to. So we will have to be specific.
Okay, that's fine. That's good because, I was on the Arts Council for years and I can't tell you how many arts projects we funded that never happened,
Yeah.
And then that money, we lost that money
Mhm.
as a town. And then when the state looks at what money got spent
Yep.
by the town on arts related events, if you have a much smaller, they don't give you much the next year. They won't give you,
Exactly. I
it's
mean,
important to-
we put a bunch of money into the work on Old Town Hall, and zip has happened with that. We have money to develop another boat ramp on the north part of Lake Wyola, and zip has happened on that one. We funded in the cemetery, restoring the old stones, and finally we've had somebody step up into the cemetery commission and actually work on it and start doing some of that project. But that was a couple of years that it didn't go anywhere, and that's really defeating.
Yeah, I hear you.
So,
Okay.
people are going to be, the committee is going to be very, we're going to be on task.
Okay, so I think maybe Christine, if you get in touch with the woman from Pelham and you find out maybe she has how much things cost, maybe some of these costs she might already have in a document that they submitted, and we could sort of work off of that too. I mean, she might have, so to be specific, it'd be interesting to see what, their infrastructure costs were.
Yeah, I agree. She wishes that they had a shed. I know we said for now, and I don't think we need to go there for now. I think we could do that if this really takes off. We could look at that in a few years. She did mention that she just wished that they had the money to build a shed. But yeah, I will reach her again. And could we make like a sort of a default regular once a month meeting day and time that works for everybody? And then we can always change it, but
no, that was my next question, is to sort of come up with like what day of the week works for people and what time works for people, so that we're not always sort of scrambling, trying to.
Yeah.
Wednesday's the only day that doesn't really work for me.
And Christine R., what were your limitations around days?
Right now, I can do, you guys said about 1:30 on Thursday.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Did you say 1:30 Thursday, Christine?
Yeah.
Does that work for other people? 1:30 Thursday?
Elaine, does that work for you?
Yep.
That works for me.
So should we say the first Thursday in January, which is the 7th?
That sounds good to me. How's that to other people?
Um,
That's fine.
December Wait a minute. The 7th is not the first Thursday.
January,
In
January.
It is. It's the first Thursday in
Oh,
January.
in January. I think we need something in December too, don't you? To start pulling this stuff together because we have to write the proposal too.
Okay. What's December, Thursday in December? Not the 24th.
17th,
Yeah, the one before, yeah,
The 17th?
17th.
17th.
Okay.
Sure.
That works for me.
Okay, rec meeting.
So Thursday, the 17th at 1:30. That still work for people? Is that good?
Okay.
And we'll have some more information on costs, our costs.
Right.
And do we have to write anything more for this application?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah, it's a big application. I'll send it to
Why don't you
everyone.
send it to us so we can start thinking about the, because Barbara, you're really good on that.
I am.
You are. I've worked with you before. You're good on writing things.
Yes, I am.
All
Yeah,
right.
just
Okay.
I'm telling you how good you are. Isn't she great at that?
I'm gonna send you all the plan in the Word document, and what we are submitting right now is Appendix B is the determination of eligibility form, and then C is the application, Appendix C.
Okay, so send that to us and we can all look at that and Barbara can start waxing poetically.
Yes.
And
You
Christine,
want this in
you're a writer too. We have two writers here. It's very good.
You want this in haiku form, right? Just checking.
And then what about going back to the select board? When should we do that, Elaine?
We don't have to do that.
We don't have to.
Nope.
Okay, I just thought if we get further,
We have to go to the Community Preservation Committee,
okay,
and then depending on what their reaction is, we can go to the select board.
okay. Iris loves a Zoom meeting.
Who loves a Zoom meeting?
Iris, every time I'm Zooming, she comes and wants to get in on the Zoom. It's really funny. I think she's really bored here with us.
Okay, so is that it?
I think this meeting is over. I'm gonna call an end to it. I don't know about,
Excellent. 2:25. Okay.
all right, that
great.
was good. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
Elaine, you were able to stay on it because we actually had a lot to do.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.